Hi, and welcome back. My name is Ash, and this is weeks 18 and 19 on my current medication Zepbound. Before we get started, let's do our little taste test of sparkling water. I got a new flavor, melon medley. Fancy. Can you see it, or is it kind of? Ooh, it's so shiny. Ooh, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like a gummy candy, sweet and sour gummy candy. Not quite a gummy worm, but kind of like one of those like sour gummy candies you can get at like a store, or like how Five Below has the different types of candy you can get. It reminds me of like a candy gummy, but not sweet at all. Just like lots of flavor, and it's bright and it's melony, but also just like it's like a tiny bit of like a hint of sourness at the end, but a little sweet. But it's not sweet and it's not sour. It like causes that reaction on your tongue. I don't know how to describe it, but good. What rating am I giving this? 4 out of 5. I think a solid 4 out of 5 is probably good for this one. Okay, but now we're done with that part of the video. We'll get into how weeks 18 and 19 have gone, and then I'll talk about a weigh-in that I did in between those weeks, or probably more into week 19, but we'll talk about that. So week 18, still out of town, but getting toward the end of my trip. That week went okay. I just started to get a little bit homesick. And I think in the previous video, we kind of discussed how I really didn't have much of an appetite. Probably because I was a little bit off of my routine. So I did slowly start to bring back in that additional meal into the day. That helped. And also things started moving. Like I had, I told you I had like BM issues and leaning more toward constipation, but that got better once I started incorporating the additional meal, which is weird, but maybe the additional meal gave me the opportunity to get in more fiber and more protein, and maybe just like I was drinking water, but make water from vegetables and things like what we eat. That probably helped too. So I noticed that traveling, a lot of travel stress, and I ate at the airport, and the food was just kind of so. But I think I made a pretty good choice based off of you know what I had available to me. The goal was just not to eat anything fried. That was my goal. Just have something that like maybe had a vegetable in it and wasn't fried. And right now, if you're watching this is like around the time period where people are very concerned about eating vegetables because of a parasite that causes kind of stomach issues and BM issues in a different way. I'll just leave it at that. But I think I made a good choice based off of the options that I had. Getting home was a struggle. Delays, just there was weather issues and lots of other issues. So it was kind of stressful, but I did make it home, which is good. A day later than I was supposed to make it home, which is not what I would have liked. But I made it home safe, and that's kind of what matters. So that's about all week 18 had to offer. Week 19 was coming back home, getting slowly back into my routine. While I was away, I did active things, but I wouldn't say I did like a dedicated workout. So maybe like the first week I did do a couple of dedicated workouts, and then the rest of my active time was doing things outside and like doing labor related things to help my family get stuff, in their house worked out. But I didn't have like a regimented workout routine. But this was the week that I came back that I was like, okay, it's not going to be great. I'm not going to be pushing myself to 100, because the goal is to really just get back into my routine of doing things. And I think I did a good enough job for that. I did do strength training twice this past week 19. I didn't really do any other active things. I did like lounge around in my neighbor's pool, which I don't know if I would call it active, honestly. I did do more walking because I was out more doing things, outside that I normally would do in my day to day. It was just about getting back into my routine. I did something that I am grateful that past me thought about, that present me in week 19 really appreciated. So basically, the week prior, I decided to set up this meal service that will deliver meals to you, and you can kind of choose what meals you want, and the protein and the fiber and all that stuff. You can see it in the meals, and they will deliver it to you. And all you have to do is warm up the meals. So for this week back, week 19, I was very intentional about saying, it's not going to be a perfect week, but I'm going to do what I can to kind of keep myself on track. And that really helped to have those meals basically come the day after I came back. That way I didn't have to struggle with going to the store after I got off work. And I was already kind of sleep deprived because I got back late night the day before I went back to work, and that was not the original plan. but I didn't have to stress out about what I was eating because it was already on the way. And I had basically days of food that set me up, which I know like not everybody can do, and it can sometimes be expensive, but it was a good way for me to keep myself aligned with my goals. That was basically it. That was basically week 19. I did weigh myself when I came back the beginning of week 19. It's basically the day after I came home. And my weight was 186. But then I went to the doctor the next day and it was 189. But I'm going to go with the 186. You want to know why? Because I want to. That's why. So we're going to go with 186. So the last time I weighed myself, which was before I left on my trips, definitely a couple of weeks ago, I think I was 193. And we'll say that beginning of week 19, I was 186. So that's a drop in it's a drop in 7 pounds. But to be realistic, I think some of that was water weight from when I stopped taking my blood pressure medicine. So I think there's like a couple of pounds in there that is, actual loss, and some of that is water weight. But anyway, we're counting it as loss, and it's good. The other part of week 19 was I actually did have, like I said, a doctor's appointment to follow up on kind of how I was doing off of blood pressure medication and how I was doing with the dosage of Zepbound that I'm currently on, which is 5 milligrams. I did talk to my doctor and she asked me how everything was going. I told her kind of how the few weeks out of town went, but generally how everything else has been going. It has been good. I have been losing. I kind of have just like a little thoughts of like, should I be losing quicker than I am? And at that time when I weighed in at the doctor, I was 189. So it was more than what it was I weighed the day before, which weight fluctuates, whatever. And, she was just kind of talking to me, and she was just like, looking at your starting weight to where you are now, you lost 10% of your starting weight. That's not a small amount. She's like, but I understand that you're looking at this number from last time we saw you and you lost this amount of weight. She said that it's not an exact science, but you've lost 10% of your total starting weight. And that's not a small amount. I just kind of took a second and I thought about how I was feeling in terms of my hunger, my appetite, and my ability to do things in everyday life, and the type of side effects I've had or haven't been having really ever since I kind of adjusted my habits. And after considering all those things, I decided to kind of stay on my current dosage, which is 5 milligrams, for the next 3 months. If after 3 months I really feel like I'm not losing, or I have an actual stall, which who knows? Does anybody know what an actual stall is? Because I read one thing on the internet, it's one way. One thing is a stall. I read something else on the internet. Somebody says this is a stall. Some people say 3 to 4 weeks without any weight loss at all. Some people say 3 to 4 weeks you've only lost 2 pounds in a month. Then that's a stall. Who is the authority on this? Like, who knows? I don't know. But I would not call what I went through a stall. I would call it kind of an adjustment related to medication change. And that's exactly what it was. So, and I still lost weight. I'm not losing like the large amounts that I guess I should have assumed I was gonna lose. But I still think I'm losing in a healthy fashion. And the doctor and I did discuss that. She said slower weight loss is preferred because we do want you to ultimately keep the weight off. And you doing that at a slower pace is going to be better in the long run, which is what people keep telling me. But I don't know what to think of that. I don't know if they're just saying it to make me feel better or whatever. But yeah, I kind of told myself if I have an actual stall, or if my hunger is coming back and my food noise is coming back in a certain way, if those things happen by the end of these next 3 months, then yeah, I will go up in dose, because that is kind of a cue to me saying that like maybe my body has gotten used to the medicine and maybe it's time to make a new adjustment to let my body understand, hey, we're still on this track. If by then I am closer to the range that was previously talked about, maybe in one of my earlier videos, my doctor didn't set a weight pound range. She set a BMI range. And she said that essentially my range is between, I think she said 28 to 25, even though 24 point something is considered healthy weight range. She said if I get between 28 and 25, or 25 and 28 probably is better for someone, looking at the numbers across, and my health markers are better, and I feel good, I don't necessarily have to keep pushing myself to that healthy weight range, because the ultimate goal is health. And health markers meaning my blood pressure, and I have like some cholesterol numbers that could be better. It's not the LDL. I think it's the HDL. I don't have enough good cholesterol. My bad cholesterol is low, so that's good. But I don't have enough good cholesterol, and that's like a big thing. But if those things are better, and I'm not in that, I'm not 25 and below. If I'm just like past 28, she said that's good to be. That's a good spot to be in. And at that point, you know, it's up to me to kind of consider if I want to continue or not. But I don't really need to consider continuing from a standpoint in her eyes for my health, because my health would be where it needs to be. And so I did a little math on what that would be based on my height, and it seems like my weight range at the calculation from BMI would be somewhere between 152 pounds and 160 pounds. So that's the range where I am. Whereas if my current weight is 186, which I saw the day before my doctor's appointment, that means that I'm technically 20. I'll put it up on the screen. Anyway, I'm a range close to my first goal, which is 160. So that is good. I think I would technically be 24, 26 pounds away from that first goal. And then my long goal, 152, I'm further away from that, 30-ish pounds away from that. But that's something to think about. Especially since if I'm 186 starting from 212, I think it was. The doctor has 211, but I was 212 one of those appointments. So that is a decent amount of weight. That just means I got to lose at least that same amount, and then I'll be in the first goal, and I can kind of make a call there, and we can do blood work and see where I am. It's like exciting and odd, but something that I keep discounting myself about is the concept that I've been able to come off my blood pressure medication while I'm doing this. Because what I realize is not a lot of people are able to do that, and the fact that I'm able to do that now, and I think overall it's like 26-ish, 24-ish pound loss, and I'm not even near my goal yet. That's a big milestone. And I kind of keep discounting myself and thinking because I don't have a bigger number that doesn't hold a lot of weight. It definitely does. So I need to keep reminding myself like that's a good goal. Now, my blood pressure. When I went to the doctor, it was like in the 120s. I think I have it up here. But earlier in the day, like the top number was 120, the bottom number was 180. It was like 122-ish or 184-ish or something like that. But early in the day, it was like 119-ish over 186-ish or something like that. So it is higher than where it was when I first came on blood pressure medicine. But I talked to my doctor, and she said at this point, especially since I had just come back from vacation, she said there's no need to put you back on the medicine because you're not in a range where I would recommend medicine. She said we're just going to be focusing on our lifestyle factors, getting back into our routine, prioritizing the things we need to prioritize, and we'll see where we are after that. And that's when I'll have my follow-up appointment, basically 3 to 6 months from now, probably about 3, just to see how the dosage is doing for the next 3 months and how my loss is. So that's where we are. I mean, I'm not on blood pressure medicine anymore. That still is crazy to me, but it's also scary because that means it's up to me. I'm on a medicine that helps me lose weight, but the habits related to blood pressure, even though weight is a factor in that, those other habits I have to take control of. I don't get to have that medicine as I don't want to say a crutch because that feels a bit, I don't know, strong, but it's not a tool that's in my possession anymore. And it's good that I don't need that tool, but it is also scary because then it places a lot of, I guess, accountability on me too, which is good because I should want to have good health and I should be doing what I need to do to maintain that. So that's just kind of what I've been thinking about a lot. Some things I also want to call out is that my measurements have definitely changed, and I can see that. And even from when I went out of town to when I came back, I still have adjusted. My body has lost in different ways, inches, not just pounds. And it's the pants. I think the pants that I tried on previously in this video, the green shorts. Now I tried them on when I came back. The shorts fit. I could wear those babies out. I could wear them outside if I wanted to. And that's the 2.5-ish weeks that I had tried them on before, maybe 4 weeks, honestly. And I noticed they did kind of fit differently from when I first put them on as like my first goal pant. Now I can fit into those. Those are a size 30 or a size 10 in Abercrombie pants, which I think that says a lot from whatever my starting was. I think I was like a 14, 14, 12-ish. It really depended on like the style of the pant. I've already lost a size, you know? So it's saying a lot. And I need to hold those things too in terms of like my little accomplishment case of all my little accomplishment trophies. I need to go and look at them and like feel that accomplishment come over my body. Like, yeah, that's me. I did that. That's crazy. But yeah, that's really where I am right now. I see you week 20. I will do another video. I did these videos together because the weeks were just a little bit wonky anyways, and so it just made sense to me to do 18 and 19 together just because there was a lot of stuff happening. And it'll be a little longer than the past videos that I've done just because I had to make quick videos because I was out and I was doing stuff. But yeah, I'll do a different video. I'm gonna do a try on video. So that'll be fun. I mean, fun for me because I do like clothes, you know, but even though it seems I wear the same outfit every time you see me in these videos, anyway. But yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for watching and listening and watching me yap about this stuff and enjoying my sparkling waters. Whew. And it's really hitting the spot because it is hot. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.